Well, good morning everybody. My name is Dr. J.D. Swanson and welcome to another episode of Karate Science 15 Minutes of Thought. And I had an interesting sort of experience yesterday. I got to go to the doctor's office for the first time in quite some time. New doctor, new insurance, you know the drill. So of course they're sitting there and they go, well, when was the last time you had a tetanus shot? When's the last time you had a flu shot? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So of course out comes the barrage of needles and in go all the jabs, and as a result I have noodly arms today. So how can I adjust my training? The thing that I thought about is that let's talk about stances, okay, and really talking about their intent and purpose. So today is not going to be a physically demanding training, but it's going to really get you to think about how and when a couple of different stances are appropriate and just thinking about shifting from one to the other. So I hope you enjoy. Hey, us. Let's get started. So from here, all I want you to do is just make kibarachi. All right, think about it. So feet parallel like two railroad tracks, sitting down. You've seen probably multiple ways, sort of out, in, out, halfway. The key thing is making sure the outside edges of your feet, as much as your body allows, are straight. The other thing to check is also make sure that your bum is not sticking out. Tuck it in, squeeze it so it's right behind your heels. And of course, posture, nice and good. So we're going to do everything from this base. Why kibarachi? Because it's this neutral, solid, focused stance. If you notice, you can't move left or right. It's because the feet are facing parallel, the knees are tracking down over the toes as much as you can. The bum's tucked in, that squeeze, it creates a very stable platform. And that's what we're going to move from today as we explore through. So our first stance, what I want you to do is just from here, just working into the stance, just sitting just comfortably. It shouldn't be a struggle to keep this up, to be able to stand. You should just sit and you're literally resting on your tendons nice and comfortably. Remember, kibarachi is not about this idea of something coming in towards you, but rather fighting directly to the side to provide the side-to-side solidness or stability. From here, our second stance is called kokutsudachi. So what you're going to do from here is you're simply going to rotate. For me, I'm going to rotate on the ball of my foot, so shifting my heel back, and that will give me the length of stance I need as I connect into kokutsudachi. So you can see my hip simply turns, stance connects in, boom, and I'm in place. My heel from here, you've seen me talk about this before, I run mine along the line, so not one behind the other like this. So if I'm standing on this line here, not like so, but rather like so, and running it out. And that gives me a little bit of side-to-side stability versus here where I'm literally walking a tightrope. So it's that feeling as you go, is that feeling of rotating, connecting, pulling and turning your hip is what you want to think about as you connect down into that stance. Once again, that outside edge of the back foot needs to be straight, knee tracking over the toe and all those good things. From here, we're going to connect back to kibarachi. So feel from here, simply the hip turns and motivates, comes back, the hip turns and motivates to kibarachi. What I would like you to do is run through that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 times, a few dozen, just to get that feeling of connecting. Here, connect, back, connect, back, and so forth. Just playing with the stance. One thing to watch that's critically important is that your body center here shifts backwards each time. For me, it goes back about 6 inches or so each time. So allow that lateral shift left and right to occur. That's the point of kokutsu. Give it a go. Excellent. So what we've got is we've got from here connecting through one, back. Now from here, switching to shikodachi. Shikodachi is not done often in Shotokan. Simply feel your feet pop out. So I'm going to rotate on my heels. My toes are going to go out. My knees are going to track over my toes. And what you immediately notice is before my tendons were holding me up, I release. My body center is able to drop. This is shikodachi. Shikodachi gives you the ability to pull something down. If you've got a hold of them, if you're wrestling, whatever, in close contact, you need them to drop a couple of inches, you drop and pull. Your center drops, they go with it. The other advantage of this stance is it now gives you, because your knees are now free and able to track over your toes, because your tendons, your ankle aren't holding everything rigid, you're able to now rock side to side. So it's here, feeling this drop and lifting up. Feeling the drop and lifting up. This kind of feeling. So again, your body center now drops. Kokutsudachi shifts it back. Relative to Kibidachi, Shikodachi drops you down and lifts you up. Switch between those two stances for a bunch of reps. Come back to me. Excellent. So we have Kokutsu, Kibidachi, Shikodachi. Our next one is from here, and we'll do this simple principle. From here, just shift, drive off the rear leg, allow your front foot to turn 30 degrees, because then we're going to switch into Zenkutsudachi. Because from here, as we switch, if we're in Kibidachi in line, and we rotate to Zenkutsu, it's a 30-degree angle to have our classic shoulder or hip width apart. So as you turn from here, feel this push in the rear leg, just to so far. Do not allow your hips to go into Shomen. Keep them in harmony. Keep them in this full halfway face position. So we're here, allow the rear leg to push. My left leg in this case will rotate, feel it, simply push in the direction you're going. Again, if I grab my handy dandy, this is my center where it is indicator, from Kibidachi, feel that push. Notice how my center moves, again, a good sort of 6 to 9 inches in the direction I need it to go. So this feeling here to here. Good, and so just practice that. Feel from here, push, pull back, push, pull back. Try that, nice and relaxed. Off you go. Excellent. So from here, our last one, second to last, I'm tricking a little bit because we're going to substitute one a little bit. From here now, feel the push all the way to Shomen. So turning your hips, instead of stopping in the half face position, turn them all the way around into full Shomen. Then back to Kibidachi. Here, all the way around into Shomen. Then back to Kibidachi. So again, same thing. My body center, of course, is shifting all the way this time forward. And you can see it goes a very long way, almost a foot, okay, away from that center line, from Kibidachi. So here, I'm turning, hips slam shut. Notice the amount of distance that I get. So from here, switch between those two stances and give that a rep. So from now, Kibidachi to Zenkutsudachi Shomen. Excellent. So a couple of things that are important. No matter which stance you're transitioning to, make sure you're not coming up and down. Try and pretend as if you have one particular angle in your back leg. In this particular case, say that it's 90 degrees. And what I'm doing is, as I straighten this leg, that 90 degrees needs to be preserved from one knee to the other, right? So as one goes, just like, if you go back to your grade school geometry, a triangle always needs to preserve that 180 degrees in all of its angles. Keep that same feeling. Pretend as if here, these angles in my knees need to be preserved. So as this one straightens, this one deepens. As this one straightens, this one deepens, right? Keep that. Make sure the total number of degrees is always kept. Second thing, pay attention to which parts of your feet are moving. When I transition to Kokutsu, for me, I rotate on the ball of my foot and pull back. In this case, my back foot is already planted, it's set, so now I just need to shorten the stance to shift my body weight. That's perhaps if I rotate with my heel, I end up in a different stance. This is called Fudodachi. So from here, I want to go into Kokutsu, so I need to shift my body weight backwards. When I shift back, I just switch the process. Here, I don't rotate, I have to rotate on my heels to make shiko. If I rotate on the ball of my foot, it just doesn't work, right? As I shift to Zenkutsu, think about that push. For me, I push
off the ball of my foot. Why? Because I'm human. As I push, yeah, my heel does go back slightly, but my overall body center still drives forward. As I push for the other one, same thing. I push, so I'm rotating on my heel, pushing off my ball of my foot because I want to use my gastrocnemius, my calf muscle, to drive into my technique. Ow! Tetanus shot as I push in. So you want to have that feeling. The third thing, as you progress through these stances, is be very aware of where your body center goes. As I've sort of pointed out, purpose of kokuts, bring it back. Purpose of shiko, bring it down. Purpose of hami, shift it forward a little bit. Purpose of shomen, bring it forward to the maximum amount before I have to move this leg through. So thinking about that purpose is critical to your karate training. Stances are simply a way to shift your body center, and keep that in mind. So with that, simple drill. From here, simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just switching, transitioning from kibadachi, where you're nice and balanced, to each one of those stances. Kokuts, shiko, hami zenkuts, shomen zenkuts. Trying each one of those in turn just to get your legs going. So try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give that a go and then come back to me and I'll give you a final thought. Excellent. So from here, the last piece is try different stances. Try transitioning now. You can start to play with this differently. So we covered many of the basic stances. Let's add in some that are a little bit more interesting. So as you make the turn now, you can also transition into Sorchindachi. So instead of adding in the Zenkutsudachi Hami, you can change it to the Sorchindachi pushing, right? So Sorchindachi, if you think about it, you make Zenkutsudachi, turn it to Kibadachi, notice I pop my heel out, and then from here squish it. This is the feeling of the stance. So once again, Kibadachi, simply from here, turn, right, make Zenkuts rather, sorry. Make Zenkuts, turn my heel out to make Kibadachi, and squish. This feeling. From here, both my legs and my hips open to push. So I'm literally pushing. This is a wonderful forward-based weight stance. It actually feels stronger to me than Zenkutsudachi Hami, simply because I have all of this weight and all of this room in the knee to be able to continue to push. So what you could do is kokuts, shiko. From here, just shift your foot and push into shikodachi. Don't worry about the 30-degree angle, it becomes confusing. Allow simply the foot to shift, push your hip and push in. Then back to kiba, then shift all the way around. You can try that feeling. Another alternative is to use the very unusual stance, there's very few people who use it, footed arch. So from kiba, simply rotate this front hip down. So it ends up being bag kokutsudachi. The purpose of this stance is simply to drop. Shikodachi is to drop to the front, you'll grab and push this way. Footed arch is to drop and push your body weight slightly to the side. Here, drop. So my center is moving a very, very small distance over, literally about 3 inches. But what it does is it provides that lower stability of the hips. I can drop down further, as well as that dropping down feeling, as well as now providing the ability for me to continue to push. You can also ideally, if you want to take the extreme in the opposite direction, instead of just kokuts, switch all the way to nikwashidachi. So what you can do is you can expand on this drill in your own time, thinking about different stances. So if we take it from most extreme this side to most extreme this side, the drill may look something like this. From here, kiba, nikwashidachi, back to kiba. From here, kokuts, back to kiba. From here, shiko, back to kiba, fudo, back to kiba, sorchin, back to kiba, zenkuts-hami, back to kiba, zenkuts, shomen, back to kiba, and even if you want to get extra special, going into cross stance, going into kosodachi. So with that, I hope that gives you some ideas, some interesting points on stances. Again, remember, it's all about where you want your body center to go. Where you want your body center to go, to move. Where am I? Where you want your body center to move relative to your opponent. So you could argue in some ways that the purpose of stances is simply to change your distance between you and your opponent without moving your feet in any large great distance. With that, have an awesome day. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and we'll talk later. Hey, us. Thank you.